Opening in 2021, Jersey Devil Coaster is a new single-rail roller coaster by Rocky Mountain Construction located at Six Flags Great Adventure. The ride was originally intended for a 2020 opening, but the pandemic had other plans and the ride was delayed a year. Jersey Devil's claim to fame is that it's the tallest, fastest, and longest single-rail roller coaster in operation. The ride stands 130 feet, featuring an 85-degree first drop, max speed of 58 miles per hour, and 3,000 feet of track, including 3 unique inversions. Of all the 2021 coasters projected to open this year, Jersey Devil is one of my most anticipated. I've never been on a single-rail coaster, and now having one that's less than 5 hours from my home is a real plus. Presentation. Jersey Devil is situated all the way in the back right side of the park, located right near Nitro. As to my surprise, this roller coaster is basically hidden and only visible once you're standing in close proximity to the ride. You can spot the lift over by Wonder Woman, but that's the only place that you can see this coaster if you're not over close by it. The ride features a bright orange track with dark gray supports. The trains are themed to the devil, which is weird because it's not what the Jersey Devil actually looks like, but Six Flags decided to go with the cartoonish traditional look of the devil instead. It's not my cup of tea, and I'm a little disappointed that the park didn't attempt a more mythical interpretation of the Jersey Devil, but that's my own preference. Beyond the theming, I think Six Flags did a decent job with sprucing up this new area of the park. It connects somewhat awkwardly to Safari Kids, but if you take the main path right past Nitro, it makes sense. For Six Flags, I think the park did a decent job on presentation, even reviving the old devil statue that was used for Diablo back in the day. I say that Jersey Devil gets a respectable 7 score in presentation. Ride intensity. From what I've heard about previous single-rail coasters by RMC, which are called Raptor Track, I was expecting a full-out crazy train of insanity. When I watched the video of Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster or Railblazer, they looked like they were operating at unnatural speeds. Jersey Devil does not give off that impression. In fact, when I was waiting for the roller coaster to open in the morning, I thought it was going to stall out a couple times during its course. The ride starts off with a steady climb to the top of its 130-foot main drop. For those riding in the back row, the first drop provides a nice whip and a decent dose of airtime as you're pulled down the 85-degree drop. The roller coaster immediately climbs into its first inversion, a dive loop. This inversion looks a little different from most dive loops and even features a little airtime before rolling upside down into the element. After completing the element, Jersey Devil enters its first major airtime hill. This is where you'll experience the best airtime of the ride. Next is my personal favorite moment of the ride, the 0G stall. This is a fantastic element as you're flipped upside down and held in that position for a few seconds. If you love hang time, then this element will be your friend. The coaster now flies up into a turnaround element. It's a nice snappy turn with a little airtime for those up front entering the turn and for those in the back exiting the turn. Jersey Devil now completes its final inversion with a slow 0G roll. This is yet another great moment of hang time and probably my second favorite part of the ride. I never would have guessed that these two inversions would become my favorite part of the ride, especially on a roller coaster that's supposed to focus on airtime, but well, here we are. After the final inversion, Jersey Devil loses all momentum as you pass through the mid-course brake run. Every element that takes place after this moment is handled at a snail pace. The turnaround and 2 outer banked airtime hills provide little to no airtime. This was the part of the ride where I was expecting some Steel Vengeance pops of air like at the end of that ride. Instead, I was greeted to Skyrocket's pointless airtime hills featured at the end of that ride. As you might have gathered, this roller coaster isn't as intense as I was expecting. I'm not saying it's weak, but I didn't get that Railblazer insanity that I was hoping for. In the end, I think a score of 7 for ride intensity seems fair. I've heard some people call this a family coaster, which I think is kind of pushing it. It's still an intense roller coaster, but just not as intense as I was expecting. Fun factor. I might trash the end of this ride, but that doesn't mean that this roller coaster is a complete bust. Actually, far from it. The first half of the ride is so much fun. I've already mentioned how great the inversions are, but we can't also forget about the first drop and first airtime hill. Airtime lovers will be pleasantly surprised with Jersey Devil, just don't expect El Toro craziness. As the day went along, the roller coaster started to pick up more speed, but not a ton more. Instead of an MCBR, which is mid-course brake run, I think the ride could have used a little boost to throw in some momentum back into the ride. Now, I do understand why the MCBR is there. It's actually very essential to the ride achieving its max capacity, which I will talk about later, but regardless of the need, it does hurt the ending of the ride. Even with a lackluster ending, I think the first portion of the ride is still strong enough to earn a perfect 10 rating. The slow inversions are really fun, and I just loved how long that 0G stall lasted. Originality. Jersey Devil is the fourth single rail coaster to open by RMC, so it's not exactly unique in that sense, but it's still the first to feature an original layout. Jersey Devil features a very compact out-and-back layout. I was very impressed how tight this roller coaster is. You're constantly diving over and under other parts of the ride, creating a lot of near misses with the support structure. The inversions found on this attraction aren't anything new with the exception of that dive loop. It's really a weird looking inversion. I don't know how to explain it. You get airtime and hang time in rapid fire. I still think this single rail roller coaster is fresh enough to boost up this category, and since this roller coaster features a unique layout to the concept, a score of 9 seems fair. Also, another important factor that makes sense to discuss now is the trains. Jersey Devil features the longest trains of the bunch with 12-car trains. Longer trains should equal crazier forces up front and back, but I'm not sure that they correlated as much as we hoped. Anyways, the longer trains are nice because they also help increase the overall ride capacity. Ride smoothness. Here's a curveball. Jersey Devil coaster is not butter smooth. I'm not going to call this a rough roller coaster because it's not, but it has a noticeable rattle that pops up randomly throughout the ride. I didn't think it was bad enough to detract from my ride experience, but it was surprising coming from Rocky Mountain construction. The train feels almost like it's too big for the track, like they have a little too much space between the wheels and the track. I don't know, something like that. Another thing to mention is the seating. I'm sure other single rail coasters feel the same way, but I thought that the seating position was a little awkward. You're basically straddling the track, which is fine, but you have to squeeze your knees together for the restraint to go down. This means that your knees will be together, but your feet are spread apart. This was a little uncomfortable, but again, it doesn't really detract from the ride. In the end, a score of 8.5 seems reasonable for this category. Alright, the technical score comes to 8.3, which is considered a great score. Jersey Devil Coaster has proven to be another great addition to Six Flags Great Adventure. It may not have achieved that lofty heights I was expecting, but delivered nonetheless. When Six Flags announced this coaster back in 2019, I wasn't sure if it would be a good fit for the park, mostly due to capacity issues, but now seeing this coaster in action, I think it can keep up with the demand. The ride features a moving station, so the train should never stop but keep crawling along. With the mid-course brake run in play, the ride is able to function with 4 trains, and it does so pretty well. From my estimates while watching the roller coaster, the best dispatch this ride can pull off is 55 seconds. And by best, I mean that is the best it can do with the mid-course brake run. Overall, I'd say this is actually pretty good, and it was consistently hitting that mark. With those numbers, this means that the ride can handle about 60 dispatches in a given hour, maybe slightly more, pushing somewhere around 720 guests an hour. Those numbers may not sound super impressive, but when you consider that the train should be full every cycle, the ride keeps pumping out guests. My personal score is going to be an 8.5. As of right now, I have this coaster ranked as my second least favorite RMC and my third favorite coaster in the park. Now, calling it my second least favorite RMC sounds a little bit deceiving because I don't want to detract from this ride because it's still a great roller coaster. I mean, a bad RMC is still pretty much better than most roller coasters out there. My new top 3 in the park would now be Jersey Devil Coaster at 3, Nitro at 2, and El Toro at number 1. When I finally get some more rides on this coaster, it's very possible that Jersey Devil overtakes Nitro as the park's second best, but for now, third place will do. Well, that wraps up my review of Jersey Devil Coaster. Have you ridden this single rail RMC? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As a friendly reminder, I am now on Discord, so go join today if you love talking with other coaster enthusiasts like yourself. The link is provided in the video description. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, that way you continue to get great content brought to you by Xscreen Thrills.